Today's guest on a Life and a Living podcast is the great Tommy Breedlove. Now, Tommy is the author of Legendary, which has been an enormous bestseller, the Wall Street Journal. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, everywhere, but a huge, huge bestseller and one of the top business books of this year. But Tommy's story is really interesting because he came from, very, very challenging background, did a very circuitous route to becoming a partner in Deloitte. He started in jail and ended up in Deloitte, and I don't imagine too many did that. He then went on to be very, very successful as a financial consultant, and then had a real day of reckoning in terms of his own life and realizing that he had all of the riches that he so desired, but he was not feeling fulfilled. And then it was a journey, and a tough journey, to actually realize the route that he wants to take in his life. But he has written, as I said, the book, Legendary Book, which is a really, really great playbook, great content in it, but also tools to really help you build a life. We talk about, people living the story of their lives as opposed to actually really living their lives, and how you can break that cycle, but also the power of creating your own mission statement and the whole consequences of actually doing that, and how it can really give you that kind of northern star and guiding star in your life. And we also talk about, the whole issue and the challenge that people have around time blocking, optimizing their time, making sure they're actually making the best use of the time. And Tommy has a lot to say about that. So this is an interview that's really well worth listening. He's a great guy to interview. He's passionate, he's energetic, and he's had a great, track record of success behind him to validate everything he is saying. So if you want to get more great content, go to the website, www.johnmurphyinternational.com, and you find podcasts and interviews with some great people. But in the meantime, sit back and enjoy the really, really fascinating, entertaining, and very engaging and motivating Tommy Breedlove. Tommy, you're very welcome indeed, and we're deeply honored to have you here on A Life and a Living. It is just great to have you here.
Thank you, John. I am beyond humbled and grateful for you to be here, and let's do this. I'm just so happy to be here.
Okay. Before we get into the book, which, by the way, I'm a big fan of, and I can actually demonstrate that because there it is on my iPad, which I've read. And I said to you just before we came on that I probably highlighted more in your book than anything that I've read for quite some time, because it is, as you say, truly a playbook. Before we get into that, though, I'd like you just to give people your backstory, because it is relevant to the book.
Completely relevant, and thank you for that. And it's become quite difficult to talk about myself, so hopefully I can do this very quickly, but I think it's very relevant to how the book was born and the movement that we produced from it. So I grew up in good, humble beginnings in the Southeast United States, in South Atlanta, which is in the state of Georgia. Big airport there. If you've been to the United States, you've probably been stuck in that airport
many times. I've walked long corridors.
It's a giant airport. And so my dad was a Delta mechanic. And so grew up in a good, hardworking part. Not many people where I grew up had ever been to college or thought about going to college or university. And so it was a good what we call here in the United States, a blue collar point of the world. Unfortunately, both inside and some outside of the home, I experienced a lot of violence, bullying, abuse of different types. And the worst thing that happens to you to me, not to everyone, but to me, the worst thing that happened to me is as I got older and as I got bigger and as I got stronger, I became what I didn't like. I became what I hated. I became that bully. And so at 18 years old, I was looking at full tuition scholarships to quite a few universities. And instead of being the first person to go to school and graduate from college, I actually committed a violent crime at 18 years old and was facing 7 years in prison and thought my life was over. Luckily, by the grace of God, and because it was my first adult offense, they dropped it down to 2 heavy misdemeanors, was sentenced to 2 years, 1 suspended, and spent my 19th birthday incarcerated. And so that's how my life began. And an amazing thing happened to me in jail is my first really really important and inspirational mentor appeared in my life. And his name was Tony. And he was an African-American gentleman. And why that is super important is in institutions, it is very clicked along racial lines. And for him to step over those racial lines and to see this 18-year-old skinny white kid who was scared to death and didn't understand why I was there, to mentor me, to inspire me, to love me for the first time, you know, in true man love, true father-son love, and just say, hey, you're not going to be caught in this revolving door system that is the prison system here in the United States.
Oh, was he an inmate? Was he an inmate?
He was an inmate. He was an inmate. Yeah.
And why,
And he was,
I mean, why do you think that he suddenly saw you as the somebody that he wants to mentor?
I just think he, you know, I stuck out like a sore thumb, honestly. I mean, you know, I was, I really stuck out. I think that was the first thing he noticed is, oh my God, he's not going to last more than 4 days here. You know, I mean, I was one of the youngest, skinniest, and probably weakest. You know, right before that, I thought I was a wolf, but when I got there, I realized I was literally a lamb. But I think it's also, he was a seasoned inmate. And so he had been in and out of the system for 20 plus years in various capacities. And I think his life started to have meaning and purpose. And I think he wanted to give back. I think he wanted to serve. I think he was looking to change his life. And he saw something in me when I couldn't see it myself. And through his mentorship and guidance, after I spent my 19th birthday incarcerated, I went out and I got rid of a lot of the negative influences in my life and went to work at a nuclear waste container factory during the day for $6 an hour, putting myself through community college at night. Ended up at the University of Georgia, and then actually did become the first person in my family to graduate from university because of hard work, his guidance, et cetera. And I went to work. So I went from jail to Deloitte & Touche, which at the time was one of the top 4 largest public accounting and financial consulting firms in the world. I think it is the largest now. And so I'm really proud of, with his mentorship and my hard work and my accountability to myself and working hard during the day at this factory and put myself to school at night, I was really happy to go from a jail cell to one of the largest and most prestigious financial consulting firms in the world. So now let's fast forward, because this is important, and this is where the book comes in. So as a young man, I thought that money, power, success, shiny things, cars, cufflinks, that was success. That was happiness. Because I didn't grow up with any of those things. I grew up good, humble beginnings. You know, we certainly weren't dirt poor in any mac, but we also didn't have a lot of money. So I would always look at TV and those things out there, like, when those people really must be happy and they've got it all. And so fast forward, 36 years old, I've moved on from Deloitte. I'm at a large middle market Southeastern United States firm that had clients all over the world. A principal in the firm, shiny cufflinks, corner office, literally a corner office the size. It was a huge office with TVs hanging from the ceiling, all glass, top of the building, full suit, but I was miserable. And I had just worked harder than everybody, hustled harder than everybody. And when the money, the power, success, and I was a junior partner / principal at the time, when that didn't fill me up, John, I turned to everything else, because I didn't understand why I had all these insecurities and fears and not good enough. And I was wearing all these masks, the tough guy, the important guy, the couldn't ask for help guy, that I'm going to outwork you guy. And none of those guys were me. That was all just an insecure Tommy, and, you know, that little boy who wanted to get out. And so I turned to all of the dark things in life. So if there was a checklist of 100 things not to do, I checked off, and I'm not proud of this, probably 90 of them. Found myself laying in a ditch in downtown Atlanta, looking up at the blue sky, half dressed, didn't know where my car was. After, I can't remember if it was 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours. It really doesn't matter at this point, but it was just pure debauchery and chaos. And I think on some level, I was just so miserable, I was turning to all the darkness. And in that moment, when I saw the blue sky, I think it was a combination of that little boy who just wanted to be seen, heard, loved, and valued by his family and his friends that was abused and bullied, and a combination of him and God saying, you got to get up. This is not living. You have to take your gifts to the world. And so I said, enough is enough. And I literally decided to transform my life physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And I made me my full-time job. And I know that sounds selfish. And I think it's the most unselfish thing we can do, because when we work on ourselves first, it allows us to serve our families, our communities, and our businesses better. And I believe that at the core of my DNA now. And here's the cool thing, John. The most amazing thing happened to me at that point. From financial success over the next 3 years, from financial success to business success to my relationship with my wife. Thank God she didn't leave me. She's still together. We celebrated our 19th anniversary yesterday. Yes, 25 years together, 19th anniversary. Yeah. Thank you. My relationship with my wife, my network, my friendships, and my happiness, my peace of mind, and my fulfillment in life, all literally 10, 20, 30x, just by being a servant leader, a good human being, and working on myself daily between 30 minutes to an hour to sometimes 2 hours a day. Mental fortress, emotional fortress, spiritual fortress, physical fortress, just to be a good person. Mm-hmm. And
do you mind me asking, I mean, to do that, I mean, that's a hell of a transformation. And you certainly,
it really is.
You know, and you took circuitous route. I thought I was smiling to myself and thinking, there aren't many that have taken that route to join Deloitte's, right? That you did for starters, no. Right? But also the journey to what you, when you say kind of all the things that you did kind of physically, mentally, and spiritually, for example, what were the things that you did?
So the first thing I did was this. This is a little digression, but it's actually kind of a cute story. Clearly, my wife and I were going through a lot of marriage counseling. And we were going through a lot of marriage counselors because we couldn't find when I use quotes for those listening, we couldn't find when that worked. Yeah. Because every marriage counselor.
Because you didn't like what they said. Yeah.
Yeah, I was closed. I mean, I was closed for shop. I didn't feel, if it wasn't business, money, or just power, I didn't want to hear it. And I was miserable. I was this closed grown man that was literally a little boy. But I remember one of those and this is funny, after like the second or third session of all these marriage counselors, they would always say, Heather, who's my wife, why don't you stay home? And Tommy, why don't you come in? And the first few times I'm like, they're going to tell me she's the problem. but they literally saw a wounded animal that just needed some guidance, but I was too closed for it. But one of those counselors said this: there's a facility in Tennessee, which is in the United States, that can do more for you in 7 days than I can do in 10 years. And when I woke up in that ditch, I remembered it. And when I went to that facility, they literally cut me open in a group setting, a private setting, a one-on-one setting for 7 days. Most beautiful top 5 beautiful days of my life. It allowed me to feel again. It allowed me to know I'm not alone in my insecurities, my fears, my past. I felt like a freak in some things because of some of the things that happened to me as a young man. And I was able to feel again. I was able to live again. I was able to breathe again. I literally had this, and I hope you don't mind me saying this. I could literally feel and see God for the first time in my life, and really see me for being not alone, but somewhat normal. And they set me on a path from life coaching to psychologist to tools and tips, from meditation to gratitude to journaling. And I literally, if they would have told me to stand on my hands and light a candle and sing Kumbaya, I'd have done it. I mean, so I was all in, because the way I felt about myself, the feeling I got inside, and I had hope, I had faith, I had love in my heart again. And I went home, and again, thank goodness that Heather was still there. And she went to the same program, by the way, just because I had such a great experience. She loved it as much as I did. And it has brought us closer together as a family, because we've been taking this journey of self-development together. And so that started it. And with great coaches, you and I are in the same mastermind, Iron Sharpens Iron, between great masterminds. I've hired great coaches throughout my career, and now I have both life coaches and business coaches, and sometimes both. So between my mentors, my coaching, my reading, my gratitude, and we'll talk about, I know you're going to ask me later about, but this is all the stuff that I do every single day. But I'm also constantly sharpening my pencil in this craft. I'm always learning to grow and be a little bit better, and to be a little bit more open-minded and be more empathetic and compassionate. And so when I did all those things, that started in that place in Tennessee, where another male mentor appeared in my life. And I think, us men, we need great, strong men in our lives. And same thing with women. And just great people that we can look up to that will hold us accountable. But brother, I'd never planned on leaving the financial consulting and public accounting world. And I went from junior partner to senior partner to owner of a very large firm to elected to the board of directors at 39 years old. The majority of the people on that board were in their 60s. Just by being who I was born to be, just by doing the hard work in myself, I went from being one of the most despised people at the firm to one of the most beloved. We were winning all these international awards, and it had nothing to do with me. It just had to do with me doing the internal work and empowering others to be their best. And the most amazing thing, and then I'll wrap up this story. Forgive me, John. The most amazing thing happened to me is all of these other ambitious, driven people, bankers, executives, entrepreneurs, corporate people, advertising, lawyers, you name it, all of my network, and I had a really big professional network, saw me filled with peace of mind, saw me content, saw my relationship with my wife, saw my happiness. But they also saw I was incredibly more successful than I had ever been in my life, professionally and personally. And when they started reaching out to me for help, about the 15th or 20th person, I knew this was a calling in life. I eventually sold my equity, walked away from the firm. I was a 60% breadwinner. I've also married a professional woman. She's a chief financial officer of a very large company here in America. But I walked away from the firm to pursue this calling to help people be better professionally, be better money, be better business, but also be better in their relationships, be better in their mindset, to overcome those fears and insecurities and live a holistic approach to life with fulfillment, purpose, and significance. And I just used all the tools that I used for 7-8 years in my life to apply in their life and to get the best out of them and hold them accountable. And that's where the book Legendary was born. After I saw it just work time and time again, I was like, this is something, this is a movement. And since then it's become a movement. It's become a national best-selling book. It's become we run masterminds, one-on-one coaching. It's been the most fulfilling, walking away from literally millions and millions of dollars. I'm not even remotely joking on that, to then doing this has been the most fulfilling thing and the most impactful service-related thing I've ever done, and I love every ounce of it. So thank you for letting me share that, John.
No, that's great. And like I said, it's absolutely context about it. But in terms of the book Legendary, I mean, yes, you tell the story, you know, and some of the story that you mentioned there is in the book. Quite a bit of it is in the book. But Legendary is not the story of Tommy. It is, but it's a backdrop to it. It's you know, and you do refer to it as being a playbook, and we were talking about it earlier on, that it really is that playbook for building the legendary life. So who should read this, and why should they actually go and buy the book, and what will they get from it?
Oh, I love that question. First of all, let me address Legendary as a title. John, I do not consider myself a legend in any way, form, or fashion. I aspire to be known as one. And that's why we picked the word legendary. Legendary is in a world of self-promotion, especially on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, everybody's social media fabulous and puts their best self out there. If you and I, John, started calling ourselves legends, people would laugh us out of the room. Legendary is given to us by our peers, community, society, our friends, our loved ones, business colleagues. And so you can be a horrible legends, and I'm not even going to give them breath, or you can be some of the greatest legends of all time. You know, Jesus, Gandhi, MLK. But it's given to us by society. So to me, it's a playbook for building and living a legendary life. And so who's it for? It's for anyone who looks up at the sky and asks, why am I here? Whether you've had professional success or not. People who feel like they're missing purpose in their life. Like, why am I here? What's my purpose? What does this all mean? So if you're lacking purpose in your life, if you struggle with your time, do you always feel stressed or overwhelmed or busy? Do you feel like your time is in charge of you, or you're in charge of your time? Because there's no difference. We all have the same 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and we all don't know how long we're going to be here. So anyone who's struggling with their time, anyone who's wanting to build more financial confidence to eventually lead toward financial freedom. I'm a financial guy at heart. I've been doing it for 28 years now. I was trained for some of the best in the world. And so helping people build financial confidence and freedom, helping people really build their friendships and network too. If you want a bigger, more expansive network, I am so proud of my network. I protect it like Fort Knox. But people who want to see you, build you, and help you be better in both business and personal life, that's who it's for. Okay. And here's where we're going to get the soft skills. And here's the most important part. Every single one of us struggle with insecurities, fears. What if they figure out, I don't know what I'm doing? We all have it. We all have our worries. We all have our stress. We've got this voice inside our head that's, if we talk to others like we talk to ourselves, no one would hang out with us. So mastering our mindset, mitigating and we call that voice inside my head Ike. We've actually named him. And so getting rid of that noise inside your head that tells you you're not good enough, mastering your mindset. And I think we all struggle from that. And the final two things I want to say, we don't talk about this enough, is developing unconditional love, self-respect, and confidence for yourself in your heart, with your, shoulders up, head back. Know you're good enough, you're lovable, you're valuable, and to receive love and give love, and to learn to unconditionally love and respect yourself. It's for anybody who wants that. And finally, and I think this is just as important as any of those other items, who wants true intimate? I'm not talking about sexual relationships. I'm talking about true intimate relationships with your wife, your husband, your friends, your network, your family, to really build true intimate relationships. To me, if we do all those things, and I know that's a lot, I just threw a lot at you, but if we do all those things, no one's going to read our resume. For most of us, no one's going to read our resume at our funeral. I want to leave this life. I want to leave a lasting legacy. I want to leave this world and our people better than I found it. And I want to leave a life of significance and purpose. And I think if we do those things, we can actually do that. And so that's who this book is for.
Okay. One of the things that you say in the book, and I just thought it was such a powerful thing to say, and it's put as a question and as a challenge, is, do you want to live your life, or do you want to live the story of your life? Right?
Amen.
And my experience is that a lot of people live the story of their lives, but they don't live the life that they could, should, capable of. And I'm curious from your experiences, why do you think people get stuck in the story of their life, which tends to be looking backwards for starters?
It's always
right?
looking backwards, right?
So why it's almost like a vicious circle they got caught up in. I don't say, what is it that stops people from actually just breaking that and saying, no, I'm not going to live my story. I'm actually going to live my life.
It's fear. Mm-hmm. It's fear of what other people will think. It's shame and fear that was bestowed in us by others. It's the mistakes of our past. We know this place right here. Most people are very comfortable where they're at. And the future, even though it could be a much brighter future, is a little scarier because I know where I'm at. And I think change is extremely hard for people. I think it's tough for us to take personal accountability and go look in the mirror. And if I'm not happy, I'm not where I am professionally, I'm stressed out, I'm judgmental, I'm envious, to look in the mirror and say, there's my problem. I think it's very hard. And I think our society right now is teaching entitlement, victimhood, and who to blame. Yeah. And at the end of the day, our happiness, our choices, our success, our being better people is totally 100% up to us. And so here's the thing is, we've all made massive mistakes. We've all had things done to us. We've all done things we regret. Knowing you're not alone, that we're all that way, regardless of what media and social media says. None of us are perfect. We've all made mistakes. So I think realizing that you're not alone. Been there, done that. And if I can do this, anybody can do it. I'm being very serious there, because I was a boy who was taught as a very young puppy to hate himself. And I have completely unwired that. And so I was letting my story define me. And when my mentor said, are you ready to start living your life and get rid of that story? So once we can cut those anchors and all of those tragedies and mistakes and things that were done to us and things we've done, and we stand on them with gratitude. Why did this happen for me as opposed to me? And we stand on them with gratitude, and we use those as a platform to be better. And it takes a lot of work to do that. None of this is easy, but it's small steps every single day just to be a tad bit better. That it's compounding interest to be a little bit better than we were yesterday. But I think it's fear. I think it's putting credence in what other people think. I think a lot of folks are eat up in the not good enoughs, not valuable, not lovable, whether it's conscious or unconscious. But anyone can rewire their heart, their brain. Anyone can achieve personal success, business success, unconditional love for themselves, better relationships. Anyone can do it. You've just got to look in the mirror and say, it's not out there. It's right here within me to do this work, and just start taking action, take continued action, and do baby steps every day. And your life can literally manifest the way you want it to. And you, my friends, can write the ending to your story.
I always think when you're talking about that, what came into my mind was, which I think is still one of the great books, is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. And I always think that when he talks about, you know, the I can't remember the exact line, but that in any given moment you have the ability to choose how you think. And I always think when you reflect on, you know, him saying that, knowing the story of where he was when he was saying that, I think it is so powerful and so immense, and it's playing into what you say. One of the things that you do, Tommy, in the book, which I thought was great, is that you talk about, you know, creating the mission, your own personal mission statement and value statement, and you actually share your own, which is very brave and transparent of you to actually give that. And I think that is such an important thing. But what I find through my own work of coaching people, that they very often find it quite challenging to actually write that mission statement, and procrastinate about doing it because, you know, and it's one of these things, it's actually not a long statement, or it shouldn't be really a long statement, but actually crafting it is so difficult. Why do you think that people just find that so difficult to do?
My initial gut says this is, once you write it on paper, it becomes real. There's something in our world that's called awareness. I think a lot of people are unaware and unconscious of their behaviors, their words, their actions, how they talk to themselves, how they talk to others. And I think it's powerful when you start putting down your North Star of how you want to live your life, your principles, your core values, what you stand for, what you fight for, what you want to be known as. I think that's a very frightening place, because I think for a lot of us, it's a North Star. And it makes us look in the mirror to what we're actually doing, to what we actually want to be doing, or desire to be doing, or desire to be known as by our peers, our friends, our colleagues, our family. And so I think that's what makes it very difficult. Is it's a soul searching exercise. You got to go deep. There's no substance level stuff. There's no inch. This is a mile deep. This is not an inch deep. And I think people, for having to look in the mirror of where they are and where they want to be and how they want to be known for, and to hold them. And here's the last part, and to hold yourself accountable and have others hold you accountable to that statement, to those set of principles and core values. I think it's very difficult for a lot of us. But I think this world and the challenges of this world, and there's a lot of darkness, but I'm a person of love and light. I think there's a lot of love and light out there. But I do believe if we would put down our core values and write a personal mission statement to hold ourselves accountable to, I think this world would be a significantly different place. And I think that's the fear, is you got to look in the mirror and go deep.
Yeah, I think I agree, because I think there's an element of, once you say it, you can't unsay it. Right?
That's right.
And
That's
and
right.
I think also, I mean, okay, we're recording this in the midst of the COVID and all the writings going on, the challenges going on. But, you know, I find it interesting in my own work, because what I'm finding with a lot of the conversations that I'm having with clients is that because it's such a huge change in how we're living our lives day to day, because, you know, people are staying in, can't go out, they've been confined and been quarantined. It's causing a lot of people to reflect on their lives. And I think many people are finding, and I find it in my own work, that a lot of people are, you know, some of the things that maybe they took for granted, they're realizing, you know what, they're important. But and other things they thought were important, you know, they're kind of, maybe they're not so important. So I think that there is a shift going on. And one of the beliefs and hopes that I have is, as a result of COVID, that COVID will be an accelerator for people to actually get to where they need to be quicker, because I think it is giving that opportunity to reflect. I want to jump on to something else in the book, and I know I'm jumping around your book a little bit, but I want to give people a taste of what's in it. There's a section there, you've a really good section about getting focused, right? And I know that you're a great believer of that. And one of the things you talk about is about you outsourcing almost every task that you're not good at or you don't spend time doing. And some people will read that and say, oh, yeah, but that's okay for you, Tommy. You're wealthy and you can do it, right? But hey, I'm not, right? So, yeah, don't piss me off actually by talking about that, telling me to do something that I can't actually do that. How do you actually answer somebody who says that to you? Maybe not quite in those words, but similar.
Well, it's relevant. And I get where they're coming from, because I've been there. You know, I remember having to pawn my car twice in order to get it fixed, in order to go to work, so I didn't lose my factory job. So I'd known what it's like to scrape for every dollar, penny. You know, at the time I was making $6 an hour, which was way below the poverty line. So I've been there. What I would say is, over time, the first thing you've got to do is, before you start outsourcing everything, it goes back to what you and I've talked about, and I'm not going to go deep into this, is you've got to start doing the personal work on yourself. Emotional fortress, mental fortress, physical fortress, but also developing your business, your financial, and whatever skills and success you want to build. So you've got to start doing the work. Now, let's get to the actual question. Outsourcing everything in my life. So for me, the most valuable resource we have in the entire world, and it's depreciating second by second, moment by moment, is our time. Mm-hmm. And I value time in my relationships more than I do anything else. It begins and ends with me with time. And as I have grown through my careers and my success and my families, I am reminded daily how little time we have and how critical it is. And so even if you don't have the money right now to outsource anything, you can partner up with someone with different skills. Let's say you want to be in business with yourself, or you just want to be more successful in life. So there's bartering agreements that you can come in, but here's the most important thing that you can do. Even when I was, when I left the firm and hung my own shingle, I went from making ridiculous amounts of money to zero overnight. And, I had all these fears and insecurities. Can I do this? This is my own. I don't have this engine I don't have a Ferrari engine behind me. Now, I'm building an engine. And so where I become laser focused in is who I spend my time with. And I would ask yourself, this is all related to the outsourcing, it's all related to time. And if you spend your time at least 30 minutes to 1 hour to hour and a half to 2 hours a day in what I call your zone of brilliance, and that's where you take your God-given talents and the God-given talents that you love doing. If you spend the majority of your time per day, if you're just a startup or in your career, or you're building yourself from scratch and you don't have a lot of money, if you can concentrate, and I go really deep in the zone of brilliance and how you do that, and eventually you'll work your way to being able to outsource everything, because your time will become so valuable. But literally at first, I would be very dogmatic about who I spend my time with and where I spend my time. Are these people, what I say in the book, is it a hell yes or hell no? Is this person going to lift you up, or are they going to tear you down? Because outsourcing my life is all about the savings of time so that I can serve my clients, my masterminds, my family, my friends better. And I can spend my time where I want to spend my time. But when I had nothing, I was still dogmatic about what I did with my time. What's the one thing that you need to be doing today, both personally and professionally, that moves the ball forward? Spend an hour or two there. Spend an hour or two there each and every day. And you'll be surprised the exponential benefits that have in your life. So if you start time blocking your time, focusing on your zone of brilliance, which we go deep into the book, and also using the hell yes, hell no principle as you grow in success, both personally and professionally, and you will, if you do the deep work we're talking about in this podcast, and you start focusing on that one thing to move the ball forward a little bit each day, professionally, personally, whether you're in your career or getting started, where you are in life, it doesn't matter where you are. Because remember, I had nothing several times in my life. If you do that, eventually you'll get to the point to where I literally outsource almost everything in my life. Let me tell you what that does. It gives other people the opportunity to work with me or alongside of me. It employs them. They're in their zones of brilliance. They're loving what they do. And so it all helps. It's rising tides bring up all ships. It allows you to concentrate where you need to be to serve yourself and others. And it allows others to help you serve yourself and others. And that's what the world is all about. But it's not about doing it all at once and saying, hey, that guy's he's not a nice person because he's wealthy and can do that. I wasn't always financially successful. However, I was really dogmatic about my time, who I spent my time with, where I spent my time, and what I laser focused on each and every day. And eventually it allowed me to get to a point to where I can literally outsource, because time is so essential. I don't want to spend, 2-3 hours trying to fix a printer because I'm not good at it. I don't know what I'm doing. And literally I could be doing anything else to help society or myself, where I could go pay someone who it is their zone of brilliance to fix that printer. Yeah. That's the things I'm talking about. Yeah. And so,
can I touch on, so you mentioned
there,
sorry, cutting across time, but just a couple of things. You mentioned something there that I want to talk about before we wrap up, because I think it's something hugely important. And I don't want to just kind of gloss over it. And you do talk about it quite a bit in the book, and you've mentioned here, but it's the whole principle of time blocking, right? Now, I would be a big fan of time blocking, but I want the listeners to kind of hear from you why you think that is so powerful, because you mentioned time blocking, and you talked about, kind of blocking out, which is part of the same thing, a chunk of time every day in your zone of brilliance. But maybe just talk about the principle of time blocking and how to use it.
So not only do I time block religiously and dogmatic, it allows me to move the ball forward. So when let's talk professional time blocking right now. Today, there's going to be, and I haven't looked at the afternoon calendar yet, but I will. We will have somewhere between 1 and 4 hours this afternoon for either servicing a client, writing, working on a speech, or moving my craft forward. Preparing for a mastermind, servicing a client. It's my zone of brilliance. When I'm coaching or writing, that's where I need to be. And I have this amazing team, and they hold me to that. So there's no email, there's no phone, there's no text messages. It's just me working in my craft. Or if there's something, we have a project that we're working on, I'm going to spend 1 to 2 hours only working on that project so that we get things done. And it minimizes the distractions of email. It minimizes the distractions of phone and the constant barrage of things we got, the noise that we got that keeps us distracted. And so time blocking is essential. I take it into my personal life too. There's 2 weekends a month that I time block them off. It's only for Heather and I. If Heather and I decide to invite someone else out, so it makes our relationship better. Time blocking is a science. You have to hold yourself accountable to it. We have a date night. We mix that up all over. So we can hold ourselves to date night. We're going to hold ourselves to finishing this project with no distractions. Time blocking in itself, applied with if it's not a hell yes or no policy, I'm telling you, that has been one of the single most productive drivers to help us, really grow this practice and this movement around building a legendary lives exponentially. It will be life-changing. You've just got to choose to do it. You've got to choose. I've got 2 screens in front of me. You've got to choose to turn off the screen with all the emails and dings and distractions and messages and blah, 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 and do your craft. And even if you're starting out in business and you want to outsource some things in your business, find someone with the same value systems. Find someone with the same desires who want to move the ball, who wants to move the ball where you're going, and partner up with them and use their zone of brilliance and vice versa. That's how you do it. And so it's a whole more in depth, but that's the high level about how I time block.
No, because I just think it's so powerful. And I think that, I really work with my own clients to get them to do it because I've seen the benefit. And because time is just, people talk about, I'm not good at time management. You don't manage time. Time just is, right? It's managing yourself, and time blocking helps you to manage yourself. Tommy, we could go on for an awfully long time, and I want to respect your time. But before we get into talking about, and I do highly recommend people go out and buy Legendary. It is a great book, and it is a great playbook, and there's great tools in there to actually help you to build a legendary life. 2 questions I ask everybody. One is a book other than your own that has had an impact upon you, and what it is and why it's had such an impact.
I think Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. I've probably read it 10 times. I think it's similar to mine. You read it and you get so inspired, but you also have to work it. So I've gone back and worked it myself many, many times. I think from when he talks about rich, he's talking about rich in money, but also rich in life. And to me, he interviewed so many people that society deemed as legendary, and to get all of their wisdom in one short book that you can apply in your life. It's dated now, but the wisdom is timeless.
Isn't it interesting that it is? I mean, it was published an awfully long time ago, and it still is as valid today as it was when it was first published. It is fantastic. Second question I ask everyone: daily rituals. Now, I know you have them, but you're interested to hear what they are, and the audience would love to hear them.
So my daily rituals, again, 1 to 2 hours a day. Physical exercise, must. Each morning I get up, I have 5 daily reads from the Daily Stoic to some devotional stuff. So it's 5 daily passages that I read, that I reflect on. I have a gratitude journal. I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for every single day. 2 of those great gratitudes are back to me. Thank you, Tommy, for. It's a way to give myself self-love, way to give myself a little gratitude because we're so hard on ourselves. So I write down 5 things, 2 back to me. I also write down 4 or 5 affirmations that I need in my life to affirm me. And all of that rewires. I meditate every single day. I walk every single day. I get silent every single day. And so from journaling to meditating to gratitude to daily readings. And if I had to say the single biggest thing that I make time for every day is reading. I believe those who don't read are no better than those who can't. And so for me, from people that inspire me to great business books, to inspirational books, to whatever, books that help us move the ball forward in life and in love and in all things goodness, to me, they're invaluable. There's so much wisdom out there to apply into your life. To me, that's the other big thing that I take time for. And I actually have a whole bunch more, but I don't want to bore the audience. So I do it. I have a big morning routine.
Well, that is fantastic. Because again, I'm, a big fan of rituals. I think that we all need to kind of reset ourselves every day and charge ourselves up and be ready for the day. So I would be with you on that. Tommy, this has been a great honor to have you here. I'm just so thrilled that we've done this. It's been a great conversation. I highly recommend people go out and buy Legendary. I know it's available in all the major places, that the Amazon and Barnes and Noble, etc. Where can people reach out to you, Tommy, to get in touch?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want a flavor of Legendary as well, especially during this COVID time and the uncertainties that are going down in the world, if you go to, and I'm going to spell this out for you because of my Southern accent. If you go to tommybreedlove.com/gifts, GIFTS, we're giving away the beginning of the book, which is my story and some other stories, but we're also giving away the financial confidence and freedom chapters, as well as the mastering your mindset chapters. I think there's always some intimacy and fear around money. And so we're giving those chapters away to help people during this time. And we're also giving away the mastering your mindset chapters to help us deal with those fears, insecurities, and worries in the world. And also there's a whole bunch of other free goodies you get, like the purpose statement, my personal mission statement, all of that we give to you, which is about a quarter of the book. So there you go. And if that's your flavor, then you can go out and purchase the book in your own, at your favorite local bookstore. But there's a whole bunch of tools we're giving out there. Also check me out on social media. We're always putting inspiration, tactics, goodness, light out into the world at Tommy Breedlove. I'm on LinkedIn at Tommy Breedlove, Facebook, Legendary Book. And so just reach out to me there too. And hopefully if you dig what I've said today or you like the book, please follow me. Let me hear from you. So thankful to be here. And John, I hope to take a nice long stroll with you so we can talk about all the things that we need to talk about in France. We will do that.
We will do that. You're welcome here anytime. Tommy, thank you so much for being with us today on A Life of Living. It's been a real honor, and it's been a joy to actually have the interview. So thank you. I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you, brother.